This is the Barbados Today Evening News Update for Friday, April the 20th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Our top story. Education Minister Ronald Jones says he's in the dark about concerns at the St. Catherine Primary School in St. Philip, which led to classes being held outdoors. Jones's ministry has been forced to deal with major environmental issues at 3 school plants since the start of the year. On Thursday, one upset parent, Simon Clark, told Barbados Today the teachers were left with no choice but to abandon a section of the building and to resort to teaching under a tent and beneath trees. Jones did not dispute Clark's account, but he told Barbados Today he was shocked that such an important matter had not crossed his desk.
Normally, these things do reach me, but it's the first time I'm hearing about it. I would have to ask who was informed, because they're saying the ministry was informed. The ministry is people, not a building.
Okay.
I would have to speak to the chief, because once there are any issues which crop up, I mean, we acted very quickly on Erdiston Special School, which only this week, Monday, had an issue, and we acted quickly on that.
Okay.
So my thing will be to find out what could have been the hiccup.
Okay.
And lack of response or non-response, I should say, on a matter like this. If there are whatever droppings there are, word or mics or whatever, and if there's any mold in the school, then we'll leave it at.
Okay.
But I can tell you, we did major work on St. Catherine maybe 5-6 years ago.
Chief Justice Sir Marston Gibson today sought to assure the public that hearings are continuing at the Supreme Court despite its closure due to environmental concerns. Sir Marston's comments came amid concerns that the court has stopped functioning because of the closure. He said the hearings are continuing only in those spaces of the building that have been fixed.
We recognize, however, that the judiciary is a critical functionary under our Constitution, and therefore every effort must be made to ensure continuity of operation. To this end, several of our courts, both the Court of Appeal and the High Courts, have continued to conduct trials, hearings, and other matters at the Judicial Center. The position taken by the judiciary is not to be interpreted as forcing or compelling any member of staff who feels imperiled by entering the building to do so. It must be pointed out that the judges have assumed responsibility for the administrative functions normally carried out by clerks of the courts.
Sir Marston also revealed that ongoing investigations have shown the presence of mold, dust mites, and other allergens which have been affecting the health of staff, attorneys at law, as well as members of the public and the judiciary. Senior pastor and founder of Restoration Ministries, David Durant, is adding his voice to condemnation of the recent cases of violence against women. The latest incident saw 36-year-old nail technician Onika King being stabbed to death on Swan Street last Saturday. Pastor Durant told Barbados Today he has a low tolerance for violence against women, and he says boys must be taught from early to respect girls and women.
Teaching our young men to respect their mothers and to respect their sisters, respect their wives or fiancé or girlfriends, I think is very, very critical. No man has a right brutalizing a woman. I have low tolerance for a man hitting a woman. I've been married for 38 years and I never ever raise my hand to hit my wife. I never even think of it. Right? I've been married for 38 years, and I have a low tolerance level for men who brutalize women, men who raise their hand, men who abuse women. I have a very low tolerance level for that, because the women are the generation that will help to raise our children, to help to educate our children. As a matter of fact, many of them are single because men have come in, planted a seed in them, and have not even fathered the child. All right, have gone off, and that woman remain single and have to raise that child on her own, and it's difficult in these very trying times.
George was speaking on the sidelines of a visit by missionaries, husband and wife team Jeff and Ann Posner this. One regional agricultural specialist is advising the government to make it mandatory for tourism operators here to use a certain amount of agricultural produce in their operations. The suggestion comes from Sub-Regional Director of the Food and Agriculture Organization, Dr. Lystra Fletcher-Paul, at a lunchtime lecture hosted by the Rural Development Commission. She said it is the responsibility of households, governments, and the private sector to ensure the island's food supply is secure and of a high quality.
I see nothing wrong with the government saying, as part of the whole package that you want to come in the country, as good corporate citizens, could you then include a section that says a certain percentage of the food that you serve in your hotel should come from local farmers, and establish contracts with those local farmers. But it means, however, that systems must be in place, the enabling environment I talk about, which would allow those contracts to come into place. The system that you set up to pay the farmers and make sure that they paid on time and they don't have to wait for a long period of time before they are paid. The system of getting the information about how much produce do you need and planning the production so that you have a consistent supply of good quality food.
However, CEO of the Barbados Agricultural Society, James Paul, told Barbados Today such a move would require strategic planning. He agreed that there are several benefits to using more local produce, and he proposed that getting more private sector operators to buy local.
Maybe one of the things that we need to look at, is to have that running as part of our normal budget. Because I know in the past when we were doing, for instance, the 100% buy local program, it was a program that was being done constantly on an annual basis. But because of objections, surprisingly enough, emanated from Barbados, where people felt that we were giving local products an advantage over imported products, it was somehow discontinued. I think that what we need to do is to return to programs like those that really reward those companies or industries that actually are, for instance, those buyers in the tourism industry who actually utilize local products more.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
The Keith Rowley administration in Trinidad has welcomed a High Court ruling dismissing an application for judicial review by former Central Bank Governor Gwala Rambaran over his dismissal. A statement from the Ministry of Finance said Justice Nadia Kangaloo dismissed Rambaran's application for the statement of reasons, ruling there was non-excusable and insurmountable delay on his part. Now, in July 2016, Rambaran commenced judicial review proceedings to compel Cabinet to provide him with a statement of reason under the Judicial Review Act in relation to the revocation of his appointment in December 2015. And on the international scene, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says his country will suspend all missile tests and shut down a nuclear site. State media said today the suspension will take effect on April the 21st. The decision follows a meeting of the ruling Workers' Party of Korea. And that's news. Remember, there is more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook. We are also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Or you can also tune in to Mix 96.9 FM for more news. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic weekend.